fake, delusional, and disingenuous. He stands as a beacon of truth. He is Abuki Cabal. You are listening to Abuki Cabal.
Welcome to the Abuki Cabal Show.
What's going on, folks? So, I'm sure everybody's probably seen this by now. This young man here coming on, letting everybody know how tired he is of hearing about the complaints of all of the black males in the manosphere complaining about the mistreatment that they have to endure from black females, some black females, okay? Because there are some good ones out here. We know that. And as adults, we really shouldn't have to come out and say not all every time we have a discussion about something. But yet we're always forced to do that because we're forced into these juvenile-esque conversations with some females that become, quite tiresome on our end as well. So we find ourselves in a place where we are finding a lot of males coming out, black men coming out, and discussing their mistreatment, the things that they see every day, the standards that we would like to see reinstituted into the black community. And we find ourselves with a person from the alphabet community who is coming out criticizing men for what we'd like to see in the pool of women that we have to interact with and that we have to choose from with regard to trying to have relationships, whether they be business relationships, personal relationships, whatever the case may be. We talk about these things. We shouldn't have to go into a restaurant or a place of business anywhere, a place where the public meets to get away from, the day-to-day hustle and bustle and stressful interactions, at work and whatnot, to go out and hear a bunch of hood rats in bonnets and whatnot, tattooed up, screaming and yelling because their order wasn't correct or because they feel like they've been disrespected or they were looked at inappropriately or any of that. So when we come out and we discuss these things, because there's no shame in our community anymore, there is no shame. And people like this feel like it's okay. It's okay to have to conduct yourself like that in order to scare people into treating you better, I guess is what these people are trying to push for. But I'm not going to rant too long. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you listen to this guy if you hadn't heard him already. And then I'm going to give you my take on it. As well as some of the criticism that I received when I was discussing it on Facebook. So, without further ado, let's take a listen to the alphabet guy. Alrighty. Here he is. So let's see what he has to say.
I don't want to deal with a single mother. I don't want to deal with a woman that's over 200 pounds.
All right, I get it. I promise. I got it the first time, I got it the second time, I got it the third time. How many goddamn podcasts do we need? Some man coming up in here and telling me what he likes to suck and what he likes to fuck, completely unprovoked. Nobody asked. I just see these goddamn videos on my For You page. Every time I press not interested, I scroll away. I press not interested, I scroll away, and you come back for more. You won't leave me the fuck.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there for a minute. Who we like to suck and who we like to fuck, okay? Now, I'm glad he said that, because this is leading into current events here, where Justice Thomas is talking about going back and revisiting some of these issues about gay marriage and some of these other things that they've already decided in the past that they feel like need to be revisited. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why I feel like they need to they feel like they need to revisit this is because it started out with who these people were interacting with in the privacy of their own homes, and how no one should care whether, the alphabet mafia and their many participants and members, whether, anybody else should be concerned with who they have sex with or who they have in relationships in the privacy of their homes. Well, as we all know, that has metamorphosized into fruity hair color, hairstyled trans people, and all, book readings for kindergartners. And, they all talk about how they shouldn't be any, what do they call it? They call it the psychoactive treatments to basically, convince gay people that they're not gay. Well, we have the other end of that, the other side of that, with some of these kids now. These kids are being read to by the drag queens and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they identify as being transgender or whatnot. Then they want to give them puberty blockers and all kinds of hormonal therapies and whatnot. Is that not okay? That's what it is. It's conversion therapy. Okay, is that not a form of conversion therapy, where you're converting these kids? But they said you really can't convert anybody into gay, but you can convince them, and you can socially engineer people into thinking that behavior is normal, and that the numbers of people who are gay in our society, or trans, or whatever the case may be, is larger than what it is. Because what it appears to be now is that it is being normalized and even recruited. There's a recruitment process that appears to be going on here. And if you guys think I'm wrong, hey, hit me in the comments. But I mean, we're seeing this every single day. I'm seeing it in cartoons. I'm seeing it in my comic books. I'm seeing it in my comic book movies. I'm seeing, much loved, beloved characters being turned gay, or either sidekicks being turned gay, and all kinds of bisexual characters and all of that, as if we all, in every aspect of our lives, is dealing with somebody gay. And in our professional lives, the HR requirements require that you do not discuss, your sexual relations on the job. Yet these people get to not only discuss their sexual relations on the job, they get to impose their sexuality on people who don't really give a shit one way or the other about sexuality on the job, or going to the restaurant, or walking up the street, or just having to say to address some person at a business as sir or ma'am, or just being polite. All of those things are now called into question because of this new age thinking. And this is I hate to say it, but this is going to be the reason why the pendulum is going to swing so far to the right that it's going to cause irreparable damage, I think, to civil rights and to a lot of things that Black folks have fought for and gained over the years. Because now the young folks really don't care one way or the other, and they don't know about the historical changes that have taken place that align certain groups that don't really care for us in a party that basically was the party that is, that quote unquote freed us, but these people don't realize that some of those people, all of those people, I'm going to say all, because I mean, look, go back and check the books. What have they done for us? People are saying, what have the Democrats done? What have the Republicans done? Nothing, and they have done very little for anybody else other than rich folks in this country. And to that end, that's why, a lot of other things, we're having a lot of other problems, infrastructure problems, all kinds of problems, taxation problems, all kinds of problems because of their lack of an ability to be able to govern. However, that's a whole nother topic. But this individual and his, if you go out and you criticize these people about their lifestyle or them forcing themselves on to us, then we're labeled as homophobes. But he can come out and he can align himself with the women who hate the message that we're putting out, and get rah-rahed through the process. And these same women will tell us, that we don't know what we're talking about, or either we're just being mean-spirited or whatever the case may be. I myself feel like this individual had no right to come out and try to criticize us for our heterosexual encounters with Black women and how we want that process to be better. And maybe he's trying to be funny. I don't really care. But I still feel like he was out of place. This is just as being out of place as if a white person came and told me how I should feel about being attacked racially. I feel the same way about it. But let's move on.
I'm sick and tired. The women you're talking about are tired. The women you're not talking about are tired. The men in the back are tired. Shit, the non-binary people are asleep. We all want to go home, and you will not fucking let us. It is June 2022, and we are still doing this shit.
Okay. So, why is he seeing our content if he doesn't watch our content? Fix your filters. If you don't want to see this content, but this content shouldn't even come up in your feed if you're not watching our content for something to go viral about.
What is it that you need exactly? What do I have to do for you to leave me alone? Was it me?
That's the very same question that I have been asking about. What do we have to do for you guys to leave us alone? What do we have to do for y'all to unmake Superman gay? For y'all to not be trying to say that Wonder Woman is a gay icon? For y'all to, leave Robin alone? Robin is not gay, nor has he ever been gay. How about, all of these other characters that you guys are just forcing down the throats of young men. You are effectively going back in retrograde, destroying our childhoods by going back and trying to insert your sexuality into our characters. If you want that so badly, you can go down to other places and there's I'm sure there are places where you can view sexually targeted content to your demographic. But if we don't want to see it, we shouldn't have to see it. We shouldn't have to see it in Power. We shouldn't have to see it in any action movies that we want to go to. We shouldn't have to see any forced sexuality, with regard to your persuasion, to where we are forced to look at it, I guess, until ad nauseum, until we start to look at it as if it is something that we can tolerate, I guess. Well, a lot of us are tired too. But if we say that we're tired, then you will attack us and try to make us into villains. Every time that you guys have done this with the comic books, or any other medium, people try not to watch. You had Saudi Arabia and China. None of them wanted your gay characters in any of the Marvel movies, and they demanded that they be taken out or they wouldn't be shown in their countries. I don't blame them. Just like they don't want a lot of Western feminism being injected into certain movies and media that they have to, that they don't have to ingest or to partake of, but the West is trying to force this on these other cultures in order to terraform them as well. Well, I don't feel bad that they're saying no, that they don't want it, because look, the great experiment that has happened over here is leading to social disaster. And I am so thankful that not all of the women are falling prey to feminism, just like not all of society is falling prey to the alphabet mafia's unrelenting assault on normal everyday interactions and our ability to be able to enjoy the types of movies that we like to watch without having some uncomfortable gayness being injected into it. So let's move on.
I come up to you with a Glock and tell you to go put your penis in that single mother over there, or else I'm going to shoot. I don't recall doing that at any point. See, this is another issue. He doesn't get it. Nobody's telling us to forcing us to go get with single mothers, but they're trying. Most of these dysfunctional black women out here want us to go and engage with single mothers because they feel like, that shouldn't exclude them from being in a relationship with a good man. But if you listen to the content, you'll realize that a lot of the problem is that these women don't choose good men. They choose trash men, and then they want to come back and they want to blame all black men for the result that they achieve. So we are the ones out here trying to tell people to have standards and to try to when you have children, to raise those children right, to raise them in a good, wholesome family. And you should be happy about that, because most of you guys don't come from families that, that raised you right or that loved you, because you end out, most of the time you guys end up out in the street, selling yourselves and doing all kinds of other stuff to get by. Maybe not the white side, but a lot of the other minority sides, that's what they do until they make enough money for them to get out. I.e., you look at, T.S. Madison and some of the other folks out here, how they went out and they were prostituting. Then they become legitimate. And then, they're model citizens. And then all of a sudden, they're millionaires and they can go on about their business, but nobody really cares about how they got there. See? Well, we're trying to get folks to bypass all of that. So thank you very much, and be silent. Let's move on. You don't want to sleep with these women? Don't. What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to somehow, summon all of the magic in the world to make the women you actually want to sleep with want to sleep with you? I can't do that. I don't think God himself can do that at this point, as a matter of fact. And then you want to be...
Why would we ask you? You're a gay guy. You don't know anything about sleeping with women or any of that, any interaction with women or any of that. You don't even care for any of that. So, you're just on here trying to make ha-has over something that you don't know anything about and that you don't care anything about. So if you don't care anything about it, I suggest that you go and look at some scantily clad guys out on the beach that are of your persuasion, as opposed to being in our business about how we want our community to be run. If you don't like it, stay up out of our community. That's how you do that. So if you want some magic, I'll give you some magic tricks. The one magic trick that I can give you is mind your business. Go visit San Francisco or Atlanta or one of those places where people can probably better elaborate how out of pocket you are. So let's move on here.
Like, oh, well, I'm only saying it because I'm being shamed. No, you are not. You are coming onto the internet and publicly announcing this information. Every fucking Friday, you need to make a presidential inaugural speech about why you don't like...
Just like the gays.
Fat bitches.
Yes, and we don't like fat bitches, okay? Since you brought it up, no, we don't like fat bitches, and it's not healthy. You gay folks don't like fat bitches either. I mean, fat dudes or fat, whatever it is that you guys are after. Y'all don't like fat either. So you should be able to identify with this. You know, we just want people to be healthy. It is not healthy for people to be overweight in this country. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for anybody. It's not healthy for kids. It's not healthy for anybody. Do you need some papers or some studies or some medical evaluations that will convince you that being fat is not a good thing? Because I can provide those.
Came onto the internet every day and was like, I goddamn hate people who eat cheesecake. All the people who eat cheesecake are gonna get mad at me. It's just common fucking sense. I absolutely refuse to believe that you are just walking into Walmart and everybody there just somehow senses that you've never stuck your schlong inside of a fat woman before, and then they all like start running after you with pitchforks. What the no, that's not how that works. And then you want to be like, oh, well, I'm just giving advice. I'm trying to help these other men. Well, what advice? I ain't seen you give advice.
You haven't seen advice? Kevin Samuels gave advice every night. They called in, for what? 2 years. Called in for 2 years. And he gave advice. Get some counseling. Get some help. Go see a doctor. That's advice. Oh, and the advice of, how about not letting yourself get fat? How about not allowing yourself to get into relationships where you ruin your life and then come and expect some other person who hasn't ruined their life to basically pull you up out of that and be your knight in shining armor after the fact. He's not your first choice. He's your second choice. He's your Russell Wilson. But you don't understand that because you haven't taken the time to try to logically take in this content. So, no, sir, it's not funny. It's not funny. And you're a buffoon in my eyes. And I'm sure a lot of other people's eyes. And you're bringing your gay buffoonery over here and trying to be funny. And you're trying to basically pander to black women who are going to, further support you and other people in the gay community because they love you guys. They do. The dysfunctional black women, they love you guys. They push your content. They push your agendas. And right when they hear one of us talking, you know what they do? They try to shame us by calling us gay like you. So I don't understand you guys at all because either they like you guys or they hate you guys. Do they want us to be like you guys so that they can better get along with us? I mean, I don't understand it. It's really boggles my mind. But one thing that I do know is that they don't want us to have any agency in who we are as men. And we're sick of it. We're sick of it. You don't determine who we are and who we will be, and neither do they. We are going to be men on our terms, whether you like it or not. But let's move on.
One time, not once. It's like going to the guidance counselor in high school and telling them you want to kill yourself, and then they're just like, well, your grades aren't that good, and send you back to class. You aren't helping. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to listen to a podcast with dating advice so I could get better at it, why would I listen to you? You clearly you don't have much success in this department. You're so goddamn bitter about it all the time. You're not married or anything. Well, I wouldn't.
There are tons of us in the ministry who are married, and we're giving advice because we weren't given good advice from the jump. Marital advice is basically go to your pastor and, don't go to bed angry with each other, and basically just, common sense stuff instead of economic advice, which a lot of us give, vetting your partner, which a lot of us give, making sound decisions before you get married so that you can have a good marriage, knowing yourself and having some personal accountability and holding your spouse to some standard, having a set of rules that if not adhered to, the deal's off. Okay? Not being afraid to walk away from a bad deal. There are a number of points that we've covered that are helpful. They might even be helpful to you folks, because you folks are a little bit rambunctious and impulsive as well. You act just like women. So, it might be helpful to you too, if you just listen.
Want to listen to like a married man talk about, or a man who's like been successful with it. Hell, I would rather listen to a woman who's like an actual like person who has a different perspective of it. Why would
I bet you would. I
want to listen to you just bitch and moan about how you don't like fat women for 3 hours. I have had enough. I am not interested. Leave me alone.
Well, Tink 1999, we will not miss you. Again, stay in your lane and be silent in the presence of real men. Had just about enough of that. All right. So I'm going to move on to this other part. And this is what I said about it. I said, okay, I was going back and forth in a group that I'm in on Facebook. And basically I said, I feel the same way about all of this gay shit everywhere you turn. The shit's in cartoons, superhero movies, comic books, preschools. Black women promote it. If you don't want it in every aspect of your life, you are somehow a homophobe. It is so bad these MFs are trying to rewrite science, medicine, and psychology. But y'all are messed up about black men and women demanding the return of decency in black male and female interactions. Okay. So then immediately I was told that that's not what this is about by a young lady in the group. Okay. And this feeds into some of what we were talking about in some other groups that I've been in. And we were talking about how women tend to look at things on a microscopic level and not a macroscopic level. And men tend to look at problems from a macroscopic perspective, and these women are, they were oblivious to what I was talking about. And I want you guys to hit me in the comments and tell me if I was wrong by addressing the way they have pushed into every aspect of our lives. But yet, these black women who promote them and who push them out on everybody else, and try to make us who basically reject their perspectives, they try to demonize us in some way, shame us, and all of that. So, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna read a few more of these little insults that were levied at me. Okay, now I told this individual, I said, I feel the same way about the promotion of all of this gay shit. Do you see the correlation? Okay. So then she says, he's simply saying he's tired of hearing y'all complain, especially when the people you complain about aren't really checking for you. Sometimes it's fake outrage just to strike up a debate. Okay. No, it's not fake outrage. We've got facts, data, and statistics. that these people reject. This person is a Kevin Samuels hater also. And anytime I bring up anything that closely resembles Kevin Samuels, it becomes very, very heated and chaotic. So here we go again. Okay, I said, well, it doesn't pertain to his demographic. I'm sure he doesn't feel the same way about the saturation of all the media platforms with pro-gay propaganda, and the black community has a major problem. He needs to adjust his filters and move the fuck around, is what I said. Okay, so then she comes back and she says, I'm confused. Nothing he said has anything to do with the LGBTQ. What are you talking about? So this is where she tries to make me look like I'm crazy. Okay. So, you guys let me know if you guys missed, the correlation between, his points and the LGBTQ, persuasion that he was clearly a part of. Okay, let's move on. So then we have another one. This is another one who constantly comes after me. And she says, honey, don't be confused. This is a part of his personality. So see, this is where I'm demonized again, as if I'm somehow crazy. This is what I'm talking about, how you have some of these black women out here who support this gay agenda as if it is their life's blood, like their life depends on it. But anything that a black man says, it is immediately destroyed and stomped down. And described in some way as if it's just irrelevant. So let's move on. So here's the other where I went through and I said, I'm going to say this again. I and a lot of black men who feel the need to address the topic he is tired of, feel just as tired of hearing shit from his side of the road. It is that simple. I mean, I said, is that simple enough? Okay. And then I said, look at this like a man from a macrospective perspective, widen your perspective. Then she says, why you have a whole, oh, so now she goes into my wife. So she brings up my wife. You have a whole beautiful wife at home. This should be the least of your worries. I mean, seriously, none of those affects you in any kind of way. So then my wife chimes in, yes, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here again, you have a woman trying to tell you as a man what you should be concerned with. That's why y'all are not in the war council. That's why y'all don't get to be in the room when big decisions need to be made about big things, because you're narrow-minded. You don't see the damage that this type of thinking can cause to the community because you haven't been watching. You're not students of history. But rather than stay in your place, you want to make the men who do look at things from a macrospective perspective, you want to make them look dumb. Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work on me. Bounces off my back like I've got a fucking raincoat on. Doesn't work on me, and it never will. Okay, so let's move on. Here's another one. What in the fresh hell does the LGBTQ community have to do with this man's opinion about black men and their opinion of women on these podcasts? Therein again, these are people who do not listen to our content, so they're lost when it comes down to what we're talking about. Now, you guys, please let me know if somehow I was not clear enough, whether this was just something that I should have basically written down in crayons so that these people would get it. Because I thought I was clear and concise about why I said what I said. Okay, let's go down. Here's another response. Then she responds to this other individual. When you say fresh hell, it tickles me. Yeah. Okay, so then here's another one. She talks about me. Okay, he lost me, and he being me, lost me on this one. He loses me on most of his thought-provoking insights and using gifts which are classy for your information. But whenever someone who may be LGBTQ alphabet speaks, regardless of the issues, we take a deep, deep, deep dive. So, see, you try to insult my intellect. And it's just not going to work. So here we go. She says she's confused again in real life. Like what? Okay. So then here's the other one. I'm legit serious. Don't be. You're not going to get a response you are seeking, and basically just say I'm dumb. So, okay. So here's a friend of mine comes in and he says, well, shit. I mean, he had some valid points. So it seems like only men get it. Even my wife didn't get it. I mean, she was saying some of the same things, you know, and I tried to explain it to her, and she still didn't get it either. So I don't know, maybe it's something in the water, you know, but I tried. Okay. So then I tagged Dr. T in it. I don't think he came into the group, but you know, here we go. I posted up some you know, some of the facts from another MGTOW Ibmore brother here, and I put up the facts and you know, some of the data here, and you know, some of the damage that was being done to the community, and here again she responds that none of that is what we're discussing. Besides, you are married, so why do you care? Okay. So here again, you have this issue about men caring, you know, if they're in a relationship, you know, why do you care? Because we men care about our communities. That's why we care about our communities, and we are trying to instill some order and discipline in our communities in order to continue their viability in the future. Whereas you women don't care, because all y'all care about is your education, how much money you're making, and being happily single. And that's fine. You can go ahead and you can do that. But for those of us who care about our community, you know, and who want resources to be allocated to our community in order for things to be better in our community, we want to make a change. See, Goldman Sachs can offer y'all up some money and some education, and y'all going to take it for yourselves, and you're going to run over there and you're going to make sure that you're okay. You're going to move to these other neighborhoods, and you're just not going to give a shit. And we understand that. That's why we who are leaders and who care about our community would like to see an allocation of money and other resources and educational opportunities being allocated to not just the females, but also the males. Because ever since the 1930s, the stats, data, and numerous papers have all indicated that the need was with Black men and boys. If the Black men are not able to make a decent living, then they will not be seen as viable mates for females who make more money than them. This was projected back in the 1960s with the Monahan Report. The Kerner Commission dealt with some of the same aspects of the Monahan Report. So, and further validated the points. All right. E. Franklin Frazier was talking about some of the same issues back in the 1930s, all the way up to the 60s. Okay. And now, when they revisited the Monahan Report in the 80s, it was progressing. The degradation in the Black community was progressing at a more accelerated rate than they thought. Then it was looked upon again in the 90s. And then you had all these black folks coming out trying to criticize it because it was demonizing black folks. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Read the damn report. I've got a condensed version and the whole report. Before you start talking trash about it, read it. But this has been projected. But all these women, they don't want to read it. I tried to give it to my wife to read. You know what she did? She Googled criticisms of the Monahan report, and that's where she started. But she's not the only one. That's how most black women approach anything that we have to say. It is as if they're trying to debunk UFOs or something. They go immediately to try to find information to debunk what we're talking about rather than reading what we're talking about and then going from there. They don't start out with the information. They start out with people criticizing the information. You know, it's kind of like starting out watching The Color Purple and then trying to understand the black community. Okay. So, you know, this just went on and on and on. I'm not going to go through any more of this, but that's the type of insanity that I have to deal with, dealing with these folks constantly, you know, with regard to these types of posts. And, you know, they'll never listen. You know, I don't know what else, you know, I can say about it. But it was entertaining, to the point to where I had to drop one of them down a peg or two, because, you know, most of the people who basically condemn this information are unsuccessful in their own, personal lives. As well as, you know, the alphabet mafia individual talked about overweight individuals. Same thing. Usually I want you to look at the usual suspects when it comes down to Kevin Samuels and some of the things that he talks about, you know, Obsidian, some of the things he talks about, Anger Man, you know, BGS, you know, it's the same individuals. They all come out. They all come out and they talk about some of the same things. You know, they all come out and you'll see some of the same traits in these individuals. There's some bitter individuals. They're either overweight. They're not very attractive. The ones who are attractive, they are vicious defenders of the sisterhood. No matter what a woman does, a woman could come out and spread her ass cheeks open for all to see on Main Street, and she would somehow find some way to explain away her behavior. You know, I don't care what they do. They circle the wagons like an old ass cowboy movie, and they protect these women. Protect all women. You know, no, I'm only going to protect women worth protecting. I had the pleasure of being on in a class with some young ladies. I was very impressed with all of the young ladies who were there. They were interested in trying to find the men that they wanted to find. They were interested in listening to what men had to say as far as how to be in a successful marriage, and how to interact with your husband, how your husband should interact with you, how you guys should work together in order to be successful in your marriage. A lot of things were being discussed, but what I was most impressed about is the affect of the women who were on the channel. the respect that they had. It was just a mutual respect. There was no bowing down. There was no evil forms of submission like most of these women always try to portray, as if they treat you with respect, that somehow they're being belittled in some way. It was none of that, and it was refreshing to be in an environment where that wasn't a factor. So I'm going to end this here. I want you guys to let me know what you thought, what you think in the comments. Whether you think I was deluded in my description of what we have to endure from the alphabet mafia, as well as some of our concerns about the Black community. Appreciate you guys following. Appreciate you guys helping me to get monetized. Appreciate all of my subs. Hope to grow more, and hope to provide more content. I'm going to start digging into COVID a little bit more, because the numbers are jumping up, and they're jumping up fast, and in an area where in a time where we thought that the numbers would be a little bit more controlled, yet that doesn't seem to be the case. So I'll dip into that, probably my next couple of broadcasts. Hope you guys are interested in that. If not, I'm going to put it out for those who are, because I know that this information will be needed, especially in our community. Thank you guys for listening, and have a good night or a good day.
I feel like a